At Nissan's Heritage Centre, there is a huge number of GTRs to choose from, but none are more deranged than this one beside me, the GTR LM. I have read about this thing for years, and in the flesh, it does not disappoint. This is a one-of-one cars. Yes, it is road legal. And the thing about this car is it's just so fascinating how it came about. So what happened is Nissan was racing in Group C at Le Mans, and that series got cancelled, and all the cars had to be based off GT cars rather than a bespoke space age thing. So designers and engineers were forced to convert a GTR to a race car, a proper Le Mans racer. And this is the result. They had to homologate it, and hence why this car has the most incredible aero on it. This road legal GTR is rear-wheel drive. They had to save the weight, so they had to disconnect the front axle. This thing weighs around 1150 kilos and has around 300 kilowatts. A little bit more, we think. But yeah, in the flesh, it's just so special, and it's such a shame they didn't make more, because I absolutely love it. Oh, one more thing to add. When the GTR LM race car eventually went racing, it lost spectacularly against cars like the McLaren F1 and the Ferrari F40. So I guess it lost in good company. You can keep your Audi RS6 Avant, because this is undoubtedly the coolest wagon of all time. It is, of course, the Stadler 260 RS Autech, and I'm standing beside it. Why is it so cool? Where do I start? This is basically an R33 GTR powertrain in a practical wagon body. And I'm talking engine, transmission, Atessa, limited slip differentials, much of its suspension. This thing is insanely quick and insanely good to drive. It's supposed to have 206 kilowatts, much more power. In fact, I know people who've driven these and say they whisper it, prefer it to a GTR. This car is such a legend that one of the helpers here just opened the bonnet and actually did a little bow to the RB26D ETT engine. How cool is that? They love it. Despite numerous attempts, Nissan has never won the Le Mans 24 Hours. But back in 1997, it came so close with the R390 GT1 that stands beside me. This is the long tail car. The one beside it, the shorter one, was an absolute disaster. But this car came third. But anyway, this is not the wildest car, because they made a Roadcar version of the racer. Perhaps even more astonishing is the Roadcar is literally a race car with number plates. And I know that's a horrible cliche, but it's true, because they share the same carbon fibre and Kevlar composite bodywork. They has the same 3.5 litre V8 twin turbo that in the Roadcar pushed out around 410 kilowatts, but again with Nissan and its power claims, probably closer to around 480 kilowatts. So we're talking about the Roadcar now. Try not to distract yourself with this. The Roadcar could hit 100 kilometers per hour in around 3 seconds, but top out at 355 kilometers per hour. So like, this is sort of McLaren F1 performance-ish. So how many do you think they sold of the homologated Roadcar? They didn't sell any. They charged $1 million for it, and not one single person said, do you know what I want? I want a Nissan hypercar. What a shame, because I think you'll agree, it is beautiful. In 1990, Nissan unleashed what must be one of the craziest hot hatches of all time, the Pulsar GTI-R, and just look at it today with its ridiculous spoilers, but they're all for good reasons. This had a significant aero tune and became known as the Babyzilla, so yeah, Godzilla's son. So what can we tell you about this? Well, it gets a 170 kilowatt version of a 2-litre turbo, and probably the most important bit, it gets the GTR's all-wheel drive Atessa. That means this thing could do supernatural things on track and was so quick off the line. This thing could launch to 100 kilometers an hour in just 5 seconds. It pains me we didn't get this car, because this thing, well, I was hoping today we'd see a Nissan 240 RS Roadcar, but I guess we'll have to just make do with the very car that finished second in the 1983 New Zealand Rally. And just look at it, you can see why it's part of the wild list, because back in these days, instead of starting with a boring old hatchback, you started off with a 200 SX. You started with something like really sexy in the beginning. This car was actually rushed, and by looking at it, you can absolutely tell that, can't you? Just look how shonky it looks. Other things to know about this is it just had a really lovely engine. It had a naturally aspirated 2.4 four-cylinder that produces around 200 kilowatts, revved to about 8,000 RPM, made lots of lovely noise. Wasn't actually that quick because timing again got the better of Nissan. This is rear-wheel drive, and this thing, poor Nissan, the 240 RS arrived exactly when Audi rocked up with its bloody Quattro, and just this thing couldn't keep up. That said, it is still loved and respected among true rally fans because this thing is hard as nails, ultimately reliable, and it looks like this. You've got to love it. The Nissan Figo absolutely demands a place in the wildest Nissans of all time because just look at it. Don't you want to hug it? It's so cute, but it's not retro. Nowadays, these aren't considered postmodern. I think that's what somebody was telling me the other day, but who cares when it looks like this? Beneath it, it's actually not exotic at all. It's based on one of those cars over there, the old Micra. But the execution of this car just shows that something crazy was going on at Nissan at the time. It went on sale in 1989, and this is one of the fastest selling Nissans of all time. It sold 8,000 within a matter of days. They had to have a lottery. It meant that they had to eventually make another 12,000 vehicles just to satisfy demand. And you know what? The appetite for these cars, well, it's still as strong as ever. These are about to be exported to the US because they're old enough, and people are paying huge amounts of money. I absolutely love it and wish I could have one.